And next, we'll queer up business. LGBTQ plus rights organization call out companies backing down on their support for Pride. More than 200 LGBTQ plus groups angered by Target stores' decisions to pull Pride merchandise from shelves are demanding the company denounce extremists and restock all Pride merchandise in stores and online. The Human Rights Campaign and other groups released a statement asking Target and businesses alike, just like Anheuser-Busch, to reject and speak out against anti-LGBTQ plus extremism going into Pride Month. More than 200 other progressive and LGBTQ plus organizations signed on to the statement, which argues showing support for the community is good for business. The organizations laid out a three-part demand that calls on Target to 1. Restock all Pride merchandise both in stores and online, 2. Ensure the safety of Target employees, and 3. Release a statement reaffirming their commitment to the LGBTQ plus community within 24 hours. Target displays LGBTQ plus themed apparel annually leading up to June. However, this year the retail giant came under increased scrutiny after customers noticed stores selling tuck-friendly women's bathing suits for transgender people and Pride apparel for children and infants. The company responded to widespread backlash over the Pride merchandising by moving some of the Pride products to less prominent sections of the store and removing other merchandise altogether. Target has released a statement saying, quote, "Our focus now is on moving forward with our continuing commitment to the LGBTQIA plus community and standing with them as we celebrate Pride Month throughout the year," end quote. And, you know, this is just, it's such a sad story, but I'm really happy at point 2 that they made in their demands is look out for the safety of the employees, because that really is, it's the bullying that comes from the fascists, the Proud Boys, you know, your run-of-the-mill Republicans. Yeah, that it's their bullying, it's their threatening that got this all to be taken down. So I appreciate that Target is saying we want, or our demands are saying, look out for your employees. That said, you also have to just stand by the courage of your convictions. You said it. You made the commitment, you know, and in past years, there's been Pride merchandise in the back, and I never thought anything of it because, like, oh, well, that's where the men's clothes are. That's where I'm going to get my tank top for Pride. It wasn't a big deal. But once you've been moved to the front, going to the back is just unacceptable, and Target needs to realize that, and others, Anheuser-Busch, everybody else needs to realize that.
Okay, message to Mr. Bob Target or whoever you are. Do not put the gay stuff back unless you mean it. I don't want this transparent, disingenuous, rainbow corporate BS because you feel like, oh, we lost the game dollar, we need to get it back. No, if you stand with us, please stand with us because we're going through a lot this year, last year, years before. It's been a while now. And now you're showing up and now you're backing down because the Karen is like, I don't want this stuff. Can you please pick a side? Much like with the beer situation, when they gave the beer to the transgender person and then I guess reneged on it, but then they released a statement that was such a nothing statement. It wasn't an apology. It wasn't a stance for us. It was nothing. And it's going to be the same thing with Target. So Bob Target, please actually stand for something. I need to know where you stand. So I need to know if I can go to your store to get some more products. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of with you on that. I just there's a little bit of a double-edged sword or something I'm struggling with in terms of, like, I don't want them to lose money, right? I don't want them to go down or go bankrupt, or I don't want them to get bombed or have these TikTokers come in and abuse the retailers and the workers because they'll go in there and make, why is this infant, you know, outfit have a rainbow on it, and you're trying to groom and so on and so forth. But what happens is once they pull back, now they do us a disservice. Once they take those products off the shelf, now they're saying and claiming that we are not humans, that we are not good enough to shop in their store. So that rhetoric continues on to the rest of America. So we continue to fight longer and harder because it just affirms what everyone else is saying on the other side. That's the part that hurts me.
Well, I think here, I mean, I see both sides of the equation and I'm stuck in the middle, but at the same point, I have to stand up. Anheuser-Busch still has their gay merchandise out there. Target still has their gay merchandise out there. Some. And I appreciate that. But I have to think back to 10 years ago when none of this existed. It is a difficult moment, and you made a valid point about that. But I also have to acknowledge that these same organizations are working behind the scenes outside of their stores or their products with the LGBT community. And at the same point, Coors, Heineken, countless other companies
Disney.
still have Disney still
Disney
have
had
their
all
days,
sorts of
their
stuff
gay
out.
stuff out. These companies aren't being discussed because they're not being targeted by the Karens and the Kens. I think it's an awkward moment for Anheuser-Busch. Growing up in St. Louis, I know half of the Anheuser-Busch family, and I know half of the employees growing up around it. I know they support the community. I think it's disingenuous for us to immediately think it's the worst, when in fact I know for common sense that they're still working with. It's just they're trying to figure out where the dust is settling so that they can figure out how to make it work for them so that they're not being attacked like they are. And that's a tough moment to get into.
Yeah.
There's no easy answer, and that's the only point I want to say is that there's no winning on this.
Yeah, I see your point of view.
Because
you know what? Don't
many
let
other companies are succeeding in this, but they're not the targets.
Yeah, don't let the dust settle. Use a fan. Use your influence, whatever you have to blow the dirt and the dust somewhere else. Don't let it settle.
And I understand
You say
that.
where the dust is going to settle.
And I understand that, but it's only been a few weeks, so everything is still chaotic.
I mean, I will say I did see some stuff in Target. I'm not going to lie. I know we were talking about it before.
They've just pulled back a little.
Yeah, I went to Target like a week and a half ago too, and there was still plenty of Pride like gear and little like dishes and ashtrays and stuff. I saw a bunch of stuff. I was like, oh, they didn't pull back, but I'm assuming they pulled back maybe in those certain areas that are a little
Most
hostile.
difficult. And the only reason I point this out is because I remember years ago being in advertising, begging for these companies to give me 10 minutes to talk about the community, to support our community. And I remember the difficulty it took to get them to the table to begin with. So I don't want them to pull back so much that they sit there and say, screw this shit, I don't need these insane people. But at the same time, I need them to still be there so that they're faithful to us in the long term. Because this is about years to come, not just the 3 weeks of hell that we're going through for them.
I know,
you
but
know?
call me a greedy millennial, like,
And we will.
as long as you say young. I just need you to stand for something. I appreciate the time it took to get here, and I understand if I compare it to the past, it is leaps and bounds, but it's also not enough. It's like when you're with your homophobic mom, and she's like, I'll let you be gay, but don't bring your boyfriend around here. It's
And
not
I get
enough.
that. I honestly get that. But at the same point, I don't want us to forget how far we've come.
That is true.
We're going through a rough patch.
And I wrote down, and it's kind of out of context. The important thing is we need to scream. We need to scream loudly. However, let's also keep in mind that a lot of times the people making these decisions to do whatever aren't the ones who may or may not be taking the bullets when they start flying. So I wasn't going to give props to Target, but in a way, I have to give them props for the higher-ups took a step back and said, we need to protect our employees, because that doesn't always happen in today's America.
Very true.
We are Queer News Tonight, the world's first and only live daily LGBTQ+ evening news show from Happening Out Television Network. In the model of PBS and NPR, we educate, inform, and entertain by supporting the 10 pillars of the LGBTQ+ community, with more than 100,000 a week watching on Roku, Apple Television, and other channels. To keep the stories going, we accept donations with 100% transparency. Stay updated and live authentically with Queer News Tonight.